in that era very progressive and very beneficial and very popular. No one has run in that same way in a long time. One of the biggest reasons is because it's been Trump. You've had someone like Trump who has said such ridiculous things that you have to counteract, that you're spending all that time sitting in that crazy area, that you don't have the time necessarily to get into that, but you need to make the time, and that's something they're missing. Or we need someone to just step in and represent those things. So I think that's something to think about. These things that are passing, protecting abortion, protecting people's rights, protecting pay, helping with pay, protecting a lot of polls say that people prefer by like 60+% for undocumented immigrants in the country to have a path to citizenship rather than being deported. Now, our representatives, our two candidates, including Kamala, are not representing options for that, but there are some silver linings and things to look at to feel positive about. The large majorities of the country, of voters, do support good things still. That's still important to think about too. It's a reason why I keep saying staying organized, staying active, staying informed is really, really important. Because if they're not going to do it, if they're not going to push people to agree to these things or learn about them, then we have to do that. So that is huge. That is really important, and it's there's good signs there. There's positive things there. You want me to stream Canada's election just because? It would be interesting. 2 Senate seats flipping red is unfortunate to see also, but not shocking. I mean, think about it. That's oh, not this crashing. That's not super surprising. That was something that should have already happened 2 years ago, but they didn't make those wins. They fucked it up because they suck. So it's not super surprising that it's now happening again now, because back then they didn't win, and then things still didn't really get better for a lot of people. So like, well, I guess now we should do it. So that's not super surprising either. It is unfortunate, but it's kind of expected. It's very expected in a lot of ways. That's 2 that I'm missing. Oh, he's right here. Okay, I'll do those. Let's do a Remy break. Let's do a Remy break. How about that? We'll turn on some music. We'll do a Remy break because I have 2 redeems for him that I now have to do. We'll get some feel good moment in here. Okay, let's boost ourselves up a little bit. Let's ride the little bit of the high that I hope I gave you. I hope I gave you a little bit of optimism there to think about, regardless of how this turns out. A little bit of motivation too, I hope, to, you know, you don't have to go crazy and pay attention all over the fucking country in every state, but pay attention in your town, pay attention in your county, pay attention in your state. Maybe look up how you can join some of these parties, you know, and maybe I'll pull up some things. I think PSL is a great option. We can get into discussions on that too. It may be a little bit of a rabbit hole. I personally have a lot of reasons to say don't fall for the libertarian trap, because it is a trap, and it is not a good thing. Certainly not for marginalized communities. But I do think that PSL, progressive socialist liberal, is that what we decided? Again, I will admit to having very little experience and knowledge of them. Party for Socialism and Liberation. Don't let the word socialism terrify you because Republicans told you to be scared of it. Look into these other third parties. Get active in them. Maybe run in small areas if you feel like you're up for it, or find someone that is running or wants to run and support them and jump on that. Let's go ahead and just get the running camera. Fuck that. There are still options available. There are still ways that we can still get wins. There are still ways that we can make this turn out good for us. There are still ways that we can win here in the long run, even if this election doesn't go the way we are hoping and wanting. That's very important to keep in mind, to keep you sane and to keep you from losing your fucking mind about all of this by a long shot. Okay, Remy time. The dog noises scared me. I'm so sorry. The dog's, hi, Robert. Welcome in. The dog is me right now. No, very much that. Very much that. Thank y'all for taking your daily shots. I appreciate y'all. I have to do 2 of these. Let me go get the other one. Y'all might get free feet. I'll set this other puzzle up for him while he finishes that. You're such a smart bean. Do y'all want full screen Remy rather than full screen me? I'll just make him massive on the screen if we'd rather have that. Get some real puppy time in. I won't be offended. You already finished? You're so smart, baby. Are you ready for this one? The old way shouldn't have taken me out like it did. Now, why was it funny? I don't think... What do you mean, taking you out because you thought it was ridiculous? Did you gasp in horror that somebody would say something like that? I think that's what you mean, right? Yes. Yep. Yup. And it is. I know. You don't have to answer that. I already know. Well, you're answering your own question. What? I didn't. Thrifty answered it. Oh. Where'd you go, Bean? Come here. Come here, baby. Come here. Come here, Bean. Hello, baby. Hi. Say hi, everybody. Oh, your breath stinks. Your breath is very stinky. It smells like poops. You've been eating your butt again? You've been eating your booty? Hi. Hi. What's up, my... Oh, damn. Not sure to shut, not this. Shut up. So stinky. So stinky. Hey, love you. You wanna give me a kiss? Give me a kiss. Yeah, he hates me. Also, I don't really smell, so I don't really want it, but... You know. I still want him, right? The stinky emote. Now don't go making Gardner get excited because you're using his emotes in here. Please. Also, do you like my little red, white, and blue light? Did anybody notice that I changed it for tonight? Or I have Hassan up on the other screen, by the way. For those that clocked that. I was getting a gauge over there on kind of how faces looked over there. I'm sorry, baby. I know I'm annoying the shit out of you. It's for a good cause. It's to make everybody less anxious. You look cute. You see how the groomers fucked up Mimi? Oh my god, I did. She almost looked like a chihuahua. But it looks more pink like a lie. So a lot of it is like gradients of color, and so it does kind of go red to pink and then blue to like light blue and then white. and that's kind of why. It's actually really interesting. The camera, so if you look at it directly, it looks a lot uglier than it does on camera. On camera, it looks really pretty. The camera kind of blends the colors together, whereas this, if you look at it in person, you see the actual blocks of like dark red, lighter red, pink, and down. Whereas like the camera does a good job of actually blending it, so it looks better up here than it does in person. But I thought it was cool. It was kind of interesting. It's custom. They have an AI that I can like request things, and I kept typing in options and it kept coming up with custom designs. And I was like, okay, that one's better than some of the other things it was coming up with. But I thought it felt very red, white, and blue, and then merged and whatever, you know? It was interesting. All the time in the world. Alright, how are we doing? How are y'all? Not the feet. It's not even. Oh, it is Tuesday. Damn. Okay, fine. I guess it's Tuesday. I guess so. Yeah, you better use my emote, Gardy. Not yours. Hi, baby. Are you tired? Are you a tired bean? Oh my god, you're gonna knock my headset off. No bean. Here. Here we go. Hi, baby. Fix your leggy. Hi. How you doing? Are you doing okay? Are you doing okay? Are you? Are you having a good day? So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. However, some minutes to 600 secure marriage as a fundamental right for gays. See, again, there are good things happening. There are still good outcomes coming in. There are good things going on. Look over here so I can see your face. Hey, what's up? Alright, let me see. I'll take a look. I will expose myself to discussions and things and see what things are looking like. Across the ocean. Be alright. Ooh. Michigan on track to have results by midnight is an update that I'm seeing. So we may know about Michigan, which can be a good flag for us potentially. Need a chuckle. Today was a really rough day at work. Oof, I'm sorry. I don't know if I have anything to give you a chuckle. I don't know. Check snap. It's not gonna send your group better, make your day better. Can I show it to everybody? Or is it just is it not a first stream thing? Hi, baby. Here. Come here, baby. Sweet boy. Oh. Look at him. Him's so sweet. Okay. Let me see. I'm keeping an eye on what coverage is, because if they start talking about something, we'll bounce back in. Right now it's kind of panels and talking and whatever. We'll give some time for... Okay, it looks like CNN is kind of talking actual polls and results, so... Are we ready? Volume up when you watch. You want me to... Oh, right. Look at the broken clip shut up. More like when we, because of all the W's he takes. I hated that. Shut up. Wild. That got me. Alright, shall we check in with our CNN friends? Shall we see what they're talking about? They are talking about Georgia right now, so that is important. jump on in.
Well, then that math sends a shockwave through the Harris campaign.
Yeah.
That is literal. Just even if she won them all, if there's 100,000 left,
right,
and she won them all, and she won't, he's 118,000
right.
votes
She said
ahead.
marginally for Harris, which means probably like 53-47 or something along those lines. Interesting. Well, we'll have the decision desk talk to the people in Georgia. Can I go back to Pennsylvania just for 1 second? I want to look at Philly for a second because it was so important. It's so important for every Democrat to drive up the margins here. Harris is with 78% reporting. Harris is at 78.1% to Donald Trump's 20%. We've already talked about this. This is a better performance by Donald Trump than in 2020 and also in 2016.
So watch where he is, right? You can look at it either way. He was at 18%. Now he's above 20%. If we go all the way back in time, when he won the state, he was at 15%. The third-party candidates mattered a little bit there, more statewide than they did in Philadelphia, but a little bit. So look at, you just track Donald Trump in Philadelphia, right?
I have thoughts.
15% and 108,000 votes in 2016.
Okay, let's take a look. Let's refresh our interactive map.
Votes
is it this one that we were messing with?
We're not quite done in 2024, but it's a lower vote count.
It's the margins.
Because we're not at 100 yet. This down.
Yeah.
If he keeps that number, that's going to pass.
They haven't called North Carolina.
The margins. Again, she's at 78%.
We'll listen to what they were just saying on Georgia.
There are some places that are swing counties and you're fighting to move them. When you're starting a plan to run for president and you know how deep Trump's support is across Pennsylvania, you know you have to do it here. You just have, it's math. It's math. I mean, 30% of the state population lives right here.
Yep.
Right here. So if you're going to offset that, you just got to run it up. You just got to run it up here. And she's at 78%. He was at 81%. This will be the conversation.
How much did he
if
win
this plays out the way it's going right
in
now,
the
this
state,
will be the conversation in the Democratic Party, is what's happening in urban America, both in terms of the numbers.
What's happening is you ran on stupid things.
So I read this in an exit poll, and whoever is listening from the exit poll desk, Challian or whoever, if I get
what's happening is your center right is also the issue.
But it said black men in Pennsylvania in 2020, 10% went for Trump. In 2024, 25% went for Trump. Black men in Pennsylvania more than doubled for Trump.
Well, if that number's true, I mean, after every election, you have the conversation, right? After 2016,
I want Kornacki.
What's happening to Democrats? I mean, it was already happening, but Trump put on steroids the Democrats' problem with white working-class people who work with their hands. And now I would say,
also Brooks now joined the ranks
also
of black women who have been elected to the United
about.
States Senate. Shamari figures in Alabama, a district that was created because people in Alabama, with the help of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the ACLU, and so many others, went all the way up to the Supreme Court to fight for their voting rights, their right to be represented, to have their voices heard. Got districts created in Alabama, in Louisiana, and now and they're called Black Opportunity Districts, majority Black districts, and now there's more representation. That is these are the seats that are going to make Hakeem Jeffries the first Black Speaker of the House. So there are many things that are happening tonight, and I think that everything, everywhere, all at once.
With that,
they are talking about Speaker of the House. That is a potential win. That is, if Hakeem Jeffries is the first Black Speaker of the House, that's a huge win. That is still important. Speaker of the House is third in line in power.
Is NBC's own Shaquille Brewster.
Doesn't quite work like directly like that, but
what have you been seeing? What are you seeing now?
Good to see you as well. Let me just set up where I am because we are in downtown
Milwaukee. I love Tim Walz. I think they neutered him.
In these bigger cities like
they put him in, got a big boost, and then went, now shut up and just talk about immigration.
They essentially all go to one location and they're counted, and then those results are posted all at once. And we just heard from the clerk that they are still working through these ballots, but we're likely not going to see the results from Milwaukee until the overnight hours. And you can see a little bit of the process. Just look at how wide open this entire room is. And
they should have. Are you kidding? They also should have been less apologetic. When Biden said, I mean, like, clearly this... I guess they did have to apologize, but if they had run a better campaign, they wouldn't have had to. But when Biden said that people who vote for Trump are garbage, and then they're like, oh, no, he didn't mean it. Yeah, he did, and he wasn't wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
this is all important because there are about 100.
There were a lot of times where they're like, no, we have to make the Republicans like us. We want them to vote for us. Well, girl, they voted for Trump more than they did last time, so that obviously didn't work. Shocker.
Right now, reaching out to us saying that one, they don't think that Vice President Kamala Harris got enough vote out of Dane County. That's in Madison, big college area. But two, we know that Milwaukee
Also,
is usually the
college
last
populations
to post its results.
very tuned
And
in to
when you
Israel
look at
Palestine.
the margin right now in Wisconsin, with Donald Trump currently ahead with about 100,000 votes, if I'm telling you there's only about 107,000 ballots here that will be posted later tonight, Republicans are pointing to that and saying that they are very skeptical that the vice president will be able to make up that total. So
the fact that she had
the
low
votes are still
turnout in
being
college
counted. There are
populations,
other places
also
where
not
votes are
surprising.
outstanding right now,
If she
but
has
because
really
of
low
what you're
turnout
seeing
in
here,
Dearborn, Michigan,
the fact
that
that
won't
we're
be
waiting
surprising.
on a lot of these ballots to come, that Republicans in the state are saying they're very optimistic, guys.
Shaq Brewster for us in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We'll be coming back to you, Shaq. And Parks has some follow-up questions, but I have to interrupt my own train of thought to bring you a call. For the second time this evening, NBC News is able to make a projection in a battleground state.
There goes Georgia.
NBC News now projects that
That's
in
what
the
it seemed like in
battleground
the last
state
time
of
that they were
Georgia
looking at
in the
things.
presidential race, Donald Trump has prevailed in the presidential race in
Again,
Georgia.
it wasn't
So again,
needed
of
to win,
our
but
swing
now it
states, we've
means
got
she
two called thus
cannot
far in
lose
Georgia and in North
Pennsylvania,
Carolina
Michigan,
for
or
NBC News.
Wisconsin. She
That puts the
cannot
electoral
lose
map
those.
at Donald Trump with 246 electoral votes.
She can't lose a single
and
one of
Kamala
those.
Harris at 189 electoral votes. Again, both candidates aiming at 270. Of the of the 7 states that we consider to be battleground states, 2, North Carolina and Georgia, have been called by NBC News as of this hour. Both of them called for Donald Trump.
I was hopeful that she
Steve,
would
over to
dominate
you.
this, but honestly, I now get to
Rachel, what we
seriously
can
look
say
on where to
now with
go.
that Georgia
Where to
call
go to
is
get away.
if Kamala Harris doesn't win
I
a state that's not been treated as a battleground
I come from a
state, if she
privileged
doesn't
enough
do
place maybe to
that,
have this
then
perspective,
she
but I
now
also am
absolutely
not
must
very
pull out a
like
win in Pennsylvania,
again
because if there's no
the whole point I had of
surprises
like
outside the
it just
battleground,
means we need to
then
organize,
Georgia
we need to stay
plus
informed, we
North
need to stay
Carolina
very
plus
active.
Pennsylvania would get
We need to
Donald Trump
not run away
270
from this,
electoral
right?
votes
I
in
know
the
it's a joke, and I know it's
presidency.
like, oh,
look at
we're gonna go to Canada,
we are
we're gonna go to
closing
Mexico,
in on
right? Like, I know
90%
that.
of the vote here. Donald Trump is
But
leading by 100.
our energy should be
votes right now.
angry at
a couple
Democrats.
of things that we can show you that have come in now in Pennsylvania to add a
Angry at
little
Republicans is
clarity.
kind of a hard
We said at
thing
the
to
start
say.
of
Like,
the
you
night, 2
just,
counties
duh,
are
just
pure
they are
bellwethers
what
in
they are, and
Pennsylvania.
we just know
Voted
they
for Trump in
are
16,
mostly trash
flipped to Biden in
for
20.
very
What would
obvious
they do
reasons.
tonight? We
But
told you
like,
that Northampton
this should
County,
be
in the
energizing.
east,
Again,
has
I said
flipped to
that
Donald
even
Trump.
if
The
she
other one,
wins,
Erie County, we've
we
now got
should
the
still
results from
do
Erie
that.
County. It's
Like,
flipped back to Donald Trump.
we
Again,
clearly
just take a
are
look at
have
this.
lost
In
ground
2016, when
even
Trump
if she
won
wins,
Pennsylvania, he
even
won
just
Erie
compared to
County.
Biden,
He
who,
gave
by the way,
it
wasn't
back to
that
Biden
amazing
when
in a
Biden
lot
won
of
the
things
state.
either.
Now Trump is reclaiming Erie County tonight. Again, this is one of those.
But like compared
big
to
sort of,
Biden, we've lost a lot of ground
Rust Belt
anyway.
counties, a lot of
So no
blue
matter what,
collar,
we
big
need
blue
to, you
collar
know,
population there.
be,
Where are we waiting for remaining vote
be
in
active. We need
Pennsylvania
to be organized.
right
We need to be
now? That
informed.
we've
We need
talked
to
a
stay
lot about
involved. We need to
Philadelphia.
stay.
Jacob has
we
told
need
us
to have
there
this
are
be
going to be a
energizing.
big batch of mail-in votes that we are not going to know until sometime tomorrow morning. That's it. There's also some same-day vote that's been coming in. The same-day vote has been running less Democratic than the vote by mail. And again, the big picture in Philadelphia is the Democrats are currently 3 points behind where Joe Biden ran in 2020. And this reflected a bit of a disappointment for Democrats. They won Pennsylvania, obviously, in 20. They were thrilled with that. But their Philadelphia number came down. It's coming down further so far. And unless those remaining mail-in ballots really boost them dramatically, you know, Trump may finish with more than 20% in Philadelphia. Also still to come, we've got a few votes left in Delaware County, big suburban county, you know, right outside Philadelphia. But again, right now, Harris is not hitting that Biden number. She absolutely needs to hit and exceed that in these places.
Yeah.
Chester County, I think we're pretty much down to the vote by mail.
She's closer to it. She's not. She's closer to Biden than she is to Clinton.
So the question becomes,
So there's still like flexibility, maybe, but
she's got to get past. She's really
I'm mostly annoyed and frustrated that she should be beating Biden for easy
ways.
ways.
Up to Montgomery County, more than 3/4 of the vote in
if
here.
she had
This is a
run
giant
on better
county, though. There are
things.
still lots of votes left to come. Again, from Harris's standpoint, she's got to get past that Biden number with what's left to come here. No vote by mail left in Montgomery County. Move up to Bucks County. 2/3 is in right here. This would be, if Donald Trump hangs on here, still plenty of votes to come, though. This would be a flip again of those.
Even if she won by a lot.
area counties.
The things that
This
she
one
chose
a
to
little
run
bit
on were
more
still
blue
signs that,
collar than
like,
the ones
listen,
I just
you need to
showed So
understand
again,
that that's
a
not what
trend
we
we're
want.
seeing. We saw it in Erie. We saw it in Northampton.
Again,
We're seeing that in a lot of places tonight. Also,
there
I'm giving
is
you
a very big
Democratic-
tendency
big sort of
for
Democratic
Democrats to
vote
win
areas,
and a lot
and
of
Bucks notwithstanding, but Chester, Montgomery, and
liberal
Delaware.
voters
in Southwest
to
Pennsylvania,
go,
the two
great,
big counties
we're
here.
done.
We've got
I did
Washington
it.
all in. I want to draw your
So
attention to this because
there is
these are
still
two
hope
big
that this
bedroom
means more
community
people will
suburbs
get
of
involved, more
Pittsburgh.
people will
In
recognize
Washington
that.
County,
A
Donald
lot of
Trump
people
has
would have very much
improved
pulled the
tonight.
wool over their
Core
eyes
Republican area, he wanted to
in that
boost his
case
numbers in
too.
a
But
place
even
like
if
this.
she
You can
does,
see
we
in
still
Washington,
there.
he
She
If
has
you go next
gone
door to
in the wrong
Westmoreland
direction
County,
in
which
a
is
lot
even
of
bigger,
ways.
there is still vote to
So
come
there
in
still needs to be
Westmoreland
activism,
County.
so we
Trump
push on that.
currently, take a look at this,
I'm sure
28
you're
points
trying
was
to
his
say
margin,
logistics can't work
36
in,
here right
Android
now.
and
Again, if he
Android
finishes
essentially.
above that 28,
That wasn't
it's
directed just at
exactly
you.
what he wanted to
We're
be
not.
doing.
I don't
So
want
for
to. We're not going to
Democrats,
turn
it's
this
gonna
into
take
like an
something
argument
really
that I'm
kind of
saying that you
massive
personally are
out of Philadelphia, where
not
really
doing
those
enough.
numbers
That's
are
not at all what that
disappointing for
is.
them so far.
There are ways
And
for everyone to
again,
get involved.
out
There
of
are ways to
Chester
stay
with that vote
informed.
by mail,
I was
some
making
more
a
coming
general
Montgomery,
point.
and they're going to need to
Let's
get bigger margins with what's to
not-
come. Again, 170,000 votes. That's Trump's advantage here, nearing 90% in Pennsylvania. Just checking on Allegheny. And again, those are the stakes. Trump wins this state. He's probably got this.
Steve Kornacki, thank you very much. We've got a call to make. NBC News can project at this hour, and
Yeah.
this is a
If
big
he wins
one,
Pennsylvania,
that the Republican Party
has
will
Senate. That was
control the
expected
United
as well.
States Senate. Now, what tipped this over is that NBC News is also projecting a couple of Senate races since we last checked in on Senate. Right now in Nebraska, incumbent Republican Deb Fischer is projected to have held off a very stiff challenge from, interestingly, an independent challenger, Dan Osborne, not a Democrat, but an independent, ran a very close-fought race against incumbent Republican Senator Deb Fischer, but NBC News now projects that
That's
Deb Fischer
sort of
will
also
be
an
returning to the
interesting
Senate.
sign, right? It means there is
Shows
room
you a
to
little
push
bit
some of these
about how
people out,
things
some of these incumbents
proceeded
out.
in this Nebraska
That it did
Senate
get
race.
close in a lot of
I should
places.
also tell you that earlier than this, in the Utah Senate race,
A lot of
NBC
these to
News
say
has
that there's
also projected a
optimism,
winner
there's room
in the Utah
beyond
Senate race.
this year
is the
too.
seat that is being left by,
There's also
Mitt
still things
Romney,
to
but
celebrate.
Utah
There are
Senator
still
Mitt
some
Romney
wins
will
here.
be
There's still
held
some
by
good
the
things going
Republicans, by
on.
Republican candidate John
And
Curtis.
it's still not over.
So after John Curtis secured that seat and Deb Fischer secured hers, that
Who's with
puts
Wisconsin?
the Republican control
Senate.
of
I
the
can look at
Senate on the books.
How you feeling?
According to NBC News projections.
Annoyed,
Lawrence,
frustrated,
let's get your reaction to that.
Huge because in the event
because
of
this
a,
shouldn't be nearly this
of
close.
Harris' presidency, she probably would not be able to get any federal judges confirmed.
And things aren't looking great.
Any, like not any district court, not any appeals court, not any Supreme
I
Court.
do think
for an
that
entire 4
there are
years.
still
On the
chances
other
that
hand,
we
in a
will
Trump presidency,
gain.
This means that
So I think there's a
all
lot of
those
open
judges
seats in
can just
California
sail
for the
right
House.
through.
I think there is still a
It could
chance. Let's
mean
see if
that
we look
Donald
at
Trump manages to broker
the
retirement of 2
House
Republican Supreme Court
race.
justices and replaces them with much younger justices. It would.
See what we're looking at there in seats.
The
A lot of these
issue
are
now
still
becomes
open.
what
A
about
lot
the
of
House
these are not.
representatives?
Every
What do
single
we
House of
end up with in the
Representatives seat
House?
was
If the
up
House,
for election, the election.
if
for
the
up for
Democrats can get control of the
voting,
House, then they really
in this
have
election.
control of government. They do not have control of the confirmation process. That's gone. That is already gone.